Alright everyone, good morning, welcome to Monday's video. We're looking back on safe passage for Celtic through to the final of the Scottish Cup 5-0 against St Johnstone yesterday. Paul is on with me today. Paul, that was pretty good.
It certainly was, yeah. Enjoyable, straightforward, good performance. Yeah, it was excellent. Worth getting up for.
Did you get up first thing in the morning and watch it? You didn't stay up because it was a midnight kick-off here?
Yeah, no, I haven't. Going out to the footy later on today, it'd have been difficult to stay up too late, so we got up at 6 this morning, myself, my big lad and the two girls as well, and we got up and sat and watched it together. It was good.
Great stuff. Okay, we'll talk loads about the game, obviously. Lovely to have you with us. Let's just kick off, though, with some thoughts from Stevie.
Hi Hamish. So, again, Celtic are in a final. As predicted, total walkover against St Johnstone today, almost a non-event. But, the attitude was far better than what we saw against them a couple of weeks ago. Couple of wee things before the game. One, I was massively hungover after being out last night. So, due to the whole debacle with the QR codes and the tickets and everything, it was well documented. I decided I'll go to Hampden quickly. I won't go maybe half an hour before because there'll be big crowds there. I got to the match about 2 o'clock or something. Never want to do that again. A terrible experience, sitting for about 50 odd minutes waiting for the countdown to kick off. Awful. And a lot of Celtic fans had the same idea it would seem. I thought I'd be like one of maybe 10 or 11 other people around me, but there was about, I'd say maybe 10,000 people or so. They got in pretty early, so I was surprised at that. But on to the game itself, again, just I don't know what we really learned from it. Wait a minute, St Johnstone are utterly terrible, and it was still a shocker that we could beat off them 2 weeks ago. As we said in the video, the massive spaces at Hampden with a large part in it, as well as the better playing surface. And Dyson Maeda was in terrific form. I thought Callum McGregor played well too, and it was a really good opener from him. And I think when he made it 1-0, that was just when the floodlights caved in St Johnstone. I think their entire game plan was set up just to frustrate, just to hinder us, play for set pieces and keep it 0-0 for as long as possible. I think for them, getting in 0-0 level at half time would have been like a win for them, and they would have maybe tried to build on it from there. But Celtic really didn't let that happen. Cracking first goal from the captain, and then Maeda quickly puts his 2-0 up. That's his 33rd and 34th goal now of the season, and I think it's his 7th at Hampden. And in this Scottish Cup, I think he's scored 9 now. Your viewers or you might want to correct me, but I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm sure he had 7 before that. But honestly, I thought in the first half and that wee 15 minutes were devastating. And in the second half, again, just like we saw last week against Killie, it was just a case of controlling it. Nice to see Jota get on the score sheet and add that 5th. If I can just say a wee bit of commiserations to St Johnstone and give them slight credit, I thought that strike from the Boyd Cup was an absolute belter. I thought it was a soft foul, but it probably was right. I mean, going for what I saw at the game, it looked soft when he went down, but I think everybody round about me was saying it was a stonewaller, and VAR, of course, does its job there. But what a strike it was to beat Sinisal for that distance. But yeah, overall, Celtic in another final, to no one's surprise. We'll be playing Aberdeen in a month. I think it'll be a far more difficult game there. But yeah, I've got no complaints with the scoreline at all. Celtic turned up, St Johnstone didn't. We did what we always do at Hampden, and Brendan did what he always does, and won yet again. And hopefully I'll be doing a similar sort of video like this in a few weeks from this very stadium, Hamish, where I've hopefully get more of a smile and more energy in my face and no hangover. But thanks to Rizzo, who's holding the camera on this one. I think we're going to go and maybe get a very quick drink, and then I'm going to go and retire on the couch for the rest of the night. I hope you enjoyed it in Melbourne, and I'll catch up with you next week even.
There we go, that was the legend Stevie, a bit hungover there, but a pretty good assessment of the game. He has given Maeda an extra go. I think it's just 33 Maeda's on rather than 34 at the moment. Enjoyed him saying that the floodlights opened for St Johnstone rather than the floodgates, but we'll let him away with that. Sorry, Stevie. Good assessment though, Paul. It was pretty good stuff. St Johnstone weren't up to much, but in terms of Celtic turning up at Hampden, played some good stuff. Maybe took us a little bit to get going, but once we did, some of the football was great.
Yeah, I actually thought the intent was there from the start. I thought the sharpness, the quickness of ball movement, all of that was there. St Johnstone probably defended their box pretty well for that first 20, 30 minutes, however long it was. There were a few block shots. There was a little bit of that, but the movement of the ball was much, much sharper than it was a couple of weeks ago. And just we were far more dynamic, I thought. And so it looked as if it was always coming. It never looked like one of those games where we were going to be frustrated. And I think the point you made earlier on, the big wide spaces at Hampden, there's the opportunity to vary your play. You can get out wide, then you can come through the middle. And so, yeah, it was never in doubt probably from the way that we were playing and the intensity we had from the start, yeah.
Yeah, St Johnstone were quite organised early in the game. I think they were making it difficult for us. We had a couple of chances, but things weren't quite coming off, and I was a little bit underwhelmed maybe by the start of the game, but I think it was just a case of almost kind of just working St Johnstone down. And I mean, the goals we scored were really good goals. Like the first one, I think Hatate's involved in most of them, to be honest, and I thought he had a really good game. But the first one's, great. Callum McGregor drops the shoulder, really nice finish. And then I think we just had that kind of relentless streak from that point. It was just goals after goal. But you saw intent from the start of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That intent was there. I think the conversation, whatever kind of meeting they've had following the defeat a couple of weeks ago, we saw against Kilmarnock last week and then the game again today, it's just been much, much sharper and much quicker at it, if you like. I actually thought the first goal, it was a great strike from McGregor, and he threatened to do that a couple of times prior. I feel for St Johnstone, they just get run over the top of today, but I hate this defending with hands behind your back, and I think that's what VAR has done to defending, basically. So a guy who would normally have his hands at his side that enable him to balance and move and get across the cover, the guy stands there with the hands behind the back, McGregor drops the shoulder and goes the other way, and the guy's getting over to go because he's not got hands to balance him. I hate to see that, but then great shot and really opened the floodgates from there, didn't it?
Floodgates, yeah. I mean, Dyson's brilliant at the moment, isn't he? Like, he's playing off the left yesterday. It was an unchanged team, which, by the way, I personally thought was great, because I know there'd been a bit of chat about the guys like Nicholas Kuhn come back in from the start, and I loved the fact Brendan Rodgers played the same team because they'd been really good against Kilmarnock. And he might have been tempted to put some of the other guys in, but he went with the same team. You've got Dyson off the left, and like, I know he's clearly been really good going up front, and there's still a debate to be had, where is his best position, but I think if the last couple of weeks have told us anything, I think you can play him in either of those positions and he's going to score goals and he's going to be effective. It's just in a slightly different way. Like that first goal is obviously very clearly he's coming off the left, but it's just effortless for him at the moment, and he's 33 goals. People, I think, are seriously thinking he's going to hit 40. Now, we need 7 more, and he's got, what have we got now, 6 games left? Like, you would fancy it at that rate to score. But, like, do you have any thoughts on the Dyson left wing versus Dyson striker thing?
Yeah, I do. I actually think it's really good management, really good coaching, because you bring Adamida in for a game where you know they're going to sit in. So Dyson's not going to have the opportunity to get in behind them. They're not going to hold a high line, and where his pace would come to the fore, if you like, through the middle. So playing Adamida up there to hold the ball up, and I think was it the second goal was a really nice layoff from Adamida from the Carter Vickers ball forward. Comes back to McGregor and he lays it off. So I think having the bigger striker in there, who's still pacey but can use his body a bit more, then brings the wingers into the game and might be able to feed off scraps there. So I think there will be times where he'll play through the middle when they're going to hold a high line, times where he plays out wide where you want Ida's bulk and physicality in there. So yeah, I just want him playing. So wherever he plays is up to Brendan, as long as he's on the pitch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does for the derby that's only a couple of weeks away at Ibrox, because we probably will have a bit of space to run into there. So will he look to play Maida through the middle? Yeah, it's almost not really an issue, because, as I say, wherever Dyson plays, he gives you something different, and wherever he plays, he's given his goals. I mean, I don't know what his record is. I should probably look into this in the calendar year now, but he's probably scored more goals than he's actually played games. It's an incredible goal scoring run that we're seeing from him. That's basically spanned the majority of this season, but I think he really has gone up a notch. So we had, what goals did we have? We had Ida after that, another pretty well worked team goal. Hatate, wasn't it, again? And good to see Ida in there getting a goal, because Yeah, he did some good stuff. There was still a couple of moments. There was one, I think, just before the opening goal where he passes the ball at the park and you're just thinking, just be a bit cleaner with what you're doing. But good for him to get a goal. What did you make of his performance?
I thought he played well. It was a centre forwards goal that he scored, and it's nice to see him do that because we know he can run with the ball, we know he can hold it up, but just getting into the box and sniffing out goals is really that centre forward's job, isn't it? In performance, I thought he played well. I think we have to remember that he's not played a lot of football. He's not played a lot of games from the start, and I'd say any striker would want to be judged after a run of 10, 15 games, whatever it is. So. No, I've got no complaints at all about his game. I think he'll come good as a Celtic player. I really do. And whether he's going to start more than 20 games a season, who knows? If we're playing 50, 55, 60 games in a season and he starts 20, that should be enough to keep him in form and to keep him firing. No, I thought he did fine today. I was more than happy with how he did. Yeah.
It was just like an avalanche of goals at that stage, wasn't it? And I mean, some of the St Johnstone's play, I think they just kind of lost it a bit, didn't they? I mean, the fourth goal was really sloppy from their point of view, and we're just firing them in.
I think the fourth goal is really opportunistic. That he's got the ball there, he looks up. There's no challenge, there's no pressure on him, and I think, like you say, St Johnstone's heads have dropped there. They know it's gone. And to be able to slot it through the boy's legs and at the far corner there, against a keeper who is a pretty good keeper, I think. But to find that space in the far corner there was nice. And yeah, I just think by that stage, I can't other than one point, I can't think of a point during the game where St Johnstone threatened really at all.
Yeah.
I've not seen the possession stats, but it's got to be upwards of 85%. Certainly in that first half, it's probably more like 90%. Because they just weren't on the ball at all. Yeah.
They had a kind of couple of things in the second half within a few minutes. They had the one, I think it was offside, 52 minutes when Sinizalo makes a really good save, and then brilliant save, and then I think it's a couple of minutes later they then score that absolute screamer from Mackenzie Kirk that Stevie talked about, and yeah, I mean it wouldn't massively have mattered either way, but in a weird way, I kind of felt for him a little bit because, I mean, scoring a goal like that at Hampden, total screamer, like as good a hit as you'll see, and potentially was a foul, but I kind of felt a little bit for him scoring that and then having it chalked off. But other than that, it was just total dominance, and yeah, I mean, it's not to take away from Celtic at all because like Celtic are brilliant, and that's what we do at Hampden, and we're just so much better than any kind of team domestically, to be honest, especially a team that's struggling like St Johnstone this season. But it was just like, it was so easy. And like there was a party atmosphere at Hampden and amazing, and we're obviously looking good for another treble, and you never get tired of winning trophies, you just don't. But like I was just watching the game, there was no jeopardy there for me at all. I expected Celtic to win the game and win well, to be honest, but in a cup semi, I thought St Johnstone might offer a little bit more. I guess that's their issue; it's not our issue. But that's just a kind of thought I had watching it. It was just like for a cup semi, it was like just so easy for us.
My son said to me just before the first goal, "This is boring, Dad. This is because it was just attack after attack after attack from Celtic, and they were breaking down, and they were, like we said, they were defending the box really well, but there was just no competition. And I think, going back to the disallowed goal, I think he's really hard done by. Because I think, and maybe that's just me, I'm sure the comments will completely disagree with me, but I think Ida goes down pretty easily. There's two hands in the back, it's given, but you could just as easily not give that, I think. And it's a cracking strike. It's a really, really nice strike. But yeah, I just think it was... It's a cliche to say it was like a training exercise, but really St Johnstone offered nothing. And clearly, they had that win a couple of weeks ago. They set out their stall to do the same. Graham Carey's got such a lovely left foot that they're trying to get him behind set pieces and get at us that way. But I thought where we had to defend, the once or twice we defended really well. I think our centre-back's role in the game today was far more threading those balls through and getting the ball forward. Not just getting it forward quickly, but getting it forward with intent as well, and finding McGregor and finding Hatate in there. really the platform for a win today started there from the back, and just generally it was an excellent performance. I think on the competition, thinking back to 2017, watching your video the other night when you're talking about the wins we've had at Hampden, I'd love a cup final against Aberdeen that's like that, that's on a night, that's a real good competitive game of football. To round off the season that way would be excellent. It's great to have big wins, but it's great to watch exciting games of football as well, and that would be nice for us.
Yeah. I think we might, to be honest. Clearly, we're going to be big favourites, but I think it's going to be a challenge in that final. Aberdeen have had a really good season. I know some people. I was chatting to, I think, Stevie and a few other people watching their cup semi on Saturday, and their consensus was they would rather play Aberdeen, and that they felt Aberdeen weren't actually as strong as Hearts, having watched the two teams up against each other. Obviously, Hearts ended up with like 9 men, but and Aberdeen have kind of come and gone this season. They started really well and they kind of faded away, but I think it's nice that it's against them. If it's not going to be Rangers, and obviously you would never hope to see Rangers in a final, Aberdeen's probably a pretty good match. I think we'll get a good atmosphere. There'll be the whole debate about the 50-50 split of tickets and all that stuff, but you probably will get a 50-50 split. Good atmosphere, and I agree with you. Hopefully it's a game that they come and give us a game, and we're better than them on the day and win, but it's entertaining. We can circle back and talk about the treble. Just second half, Jota got his goal. A few other chances in there, a couple of kind of balls fired across that people just couldn't quite get on the end of. But the second half, was really routine as well. Yeah,
it was, and there was a VAR decision in there as well, wasn't there, ruling out the penalty for Forrest. And again, well, that was the right decision that time. I don't think that was a penalty. I think if the boy coming in with the first challenge clips him, then that's a penalty. But there's not enough there to give it. But I thought we were dominant without necessarily creating hundreds of chances in that second half. Jota's finish is beautiful, and he's got that in his locker, hasn't he? What a cross as well, I have to say, from Johnstone. Fantastic cross. Taking the keeper out of the game, and it was nice. And looking at the bench as well, so the substitutions, albeit I didn't stay up to watch the game last night, I looked at the starting lineup just before I went to bed, and looking at the bench, I would say, possibly with the exception of Scott Bain, all of that bench would get into any starting lineup in Scotland, the entire bench. I'm sure there's Rangers fans that would argue Tavernier would get in ahead of Ralston, but that aside, that's a really strong bench, and all of them, or almost all of them, could be pressing for starts as well. So in that sense, I mean, there's been times this season where we've grumbled about not having the right options, but now having Jamesy back playing on the right and playing really well means that you've got Kuhn sitting on the bench there. Maeda, when you want to play the bigger man up front, playing out wide means Jota's on the bench. So it's not as if your pulverised defence is getting a bit of a break when Maeda or Jamesy go off. They're coming up against really challenging players as well. So again, it bodes well. Maybe a couple of additions in the close season, and we're going to get even stronger too.
Yeah. Thought James Forrest was good again, just buzzing around, making things happen. So I'm enjoying watching him at the moment. Okay, everyone, just before we finish the chat, got a bit more stuff to chat about. This video is brought to you in affiliation with NordVPN, the legends who make it possible to watch games last night here around the world and have UK guys, Rory Hamilton, etc. We've got a great offer on at the moment. You can get up to 74% off NordVPN's 2-year plan plus 3 extra months, and there's no risk with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN.com/CelticAM if you want to get involved. Link is in the description. Midfield, not really touched on them, Paul. Hatate, really good game, I thought. McGregor, good as well. Engels, decent enough, made a few things happen.
Yeah, Hatate was my man of the match, to be honest, because he was just so involved in so much of the positive work that we did. McGregor might have been arguably better than Hatate on the day, but we've just come to expect so much from him that he was his normal dominant self today. And Engels, I think, sometimes suffers in comparison. He was part of a really dominant midfield today, so I think he did probably everything that was required of him. I thought he played fine. I thought he did fine. I feel for Bernardo. I think Paulo Bernardo is one of the best players in the country. I think he's an excellent midfielder. and he's just not had opportunities this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him going forward. Probably get some game time between now and the end of the season. Obviously coming back from a fairly lengthy injury as well, so that was all good. And yeah, we're into another final, and obviously the league is pretty much wrapped up. We've got that to look forward to in just a matter of days now. The point we need at Tannadice to win the league, so we can tick that off. That'll be a double, and then we know now we're 24th of May. Hampden Park against Aberdeen, going for I think a 9th treble, which is ridiculous given was 2017 our 4th or something like that. I think we'd won 3 in the previous 100 odd years of a treble being possible, and since then this Celtic team is just totally relentless. I know there's some quotes from Callum McGregor that I just glanced at earlier, and he was kind of basically talking about that hunger to win more silverware never goes away. And to be honest, I get it, because we feel it as fans. It never goes away. Just because you've won previous trophies, when the season starts, your goals are the same at Celtic. But these players, obviously, they've still got a bit of work to do in the final. But I think we're all kind of expecting us to go and win another treble, and it's just mad times we're living through in terms of watching Celtic.
Yeah, it is, and I think, yeah, we'd be massive favourites to win the treble. Like we say, we hope it's a decent final. We hope it's a good game. I think thinking about looking at Jamesy Forrest about to pull ahead of Bobby Lennox in terms of the all-time awards, if you like, or all-time wins, and Callum McGregor being right up there as well. It's been a very different last 10 years for them than those Lisbon Lions that won their titles and what have you. But I actually think it's been a different type of challenge as well. So we see a couple of weeks ago that the team seemed to have switched off a bit, just seemed to kind of turn up and expect to win. Playing against teams that you're just expected to beat all the time, and that relentless pressure and winning titles in that environment, and being able to motivate yourself, like Callum McGregor said, to go again and to go again and to go again, despite having had so much success. I think that's a different psychological challenge than when the competition is stronger and you're having to go and win against stronger competition. So albeit there'll be people that say the titles they've won over the last 10 years, or the cups, or everything that they've won, the competition's not been as stiff as it was, say, for the Lisbon Lions. They've had to do it in a different way, and they've had to find different ways to motivate themselves, which would never have been an issue for the Lions. So I think you've got to really hand it to the players that have been absolutely relentless over this last period, and managers as well, like Brendan Rodgers, like Ange when he came in, that have just really driven them forward and instilled that mindset in them. Yeah. So all credit, they've been brilliant.
Incredible stuff. So much to look forward to between now and the end of the season. We're, as I say, chance to win the league this weekend. We then go into, I don't know, for a lot of people, perhaps the biggest thing that's left this season. It's maybe daft to say when there's a Scottish Cup final on the line, but Ibrox is going to be huge. I think everyone's feeling that it's kind of maybe the one thing missing from this season is the derby performances. Obviously, we won the one at the start of the season. We won the cup final as well, which people do kind of forget. But the last couple of derbies have been pretty disappointing. So it's going to be interesting to see over the next few weeks what happens there. And then obviously, as we say, end of May, we've got a Scottish Cup final to look forward to. So exciting times. Celtic are great. I think the reaction over the past couple of games since the St Johnstone defeat has been really good. You can't argue with it. 5 more goals at Hampden there against St Johnstone. So things are good. And we move on to Tannadice and hopefully a chance to seal 4 in a row.
Yeah, that's the hope. And I think I can't see it happening any other time than at Tannadice next week. I can't see us dropping points there. Whether it's a draw or a win, we'll take it whatever it is. But yeah, I would say this time next week we're champions. Good
stuff. And you're off to, we're both off to AFL later. I don't know if there's any AFL fans out there. It's our 2 teams are playing. I'm a Hawks man and you're a Geelong man.
Geelong Cats playing in the hoops, yeah.
Oh, you're making me out to be. So you're supporting the team in the hoops and I'm not. Are Hawks not hoop? No, they're kind of stripes, aren't they? Ugly. This is great chat. People definitely care about AFL, but that's what we're up to on this fine Monday. I hope you all enjoy your day as well, everyone. Paul, appreciate you coming on. We'll catch up with you soon, and I'll catch up with all of you lot tomorrow.